welcome to the show, everybody. Starting off great, I think, on time. So we've got a great show planned for everyone today. Just, uh-oh. Oh, man. Whoa, a tweet I didn't send, and then I clicked off the thing. Okay. Anyways, we'll hit that up in a second. Great show planned today. We've got in the last half an interview with Scott B of the Scabbies. We're going to talk about the new EP that is dropping at the end of the week. It's got 5 really great songs on it. We talk about 3 of them and some other stuff. Definitely worth checking out. Sticking around to the end of the show for that. But without further ado, we're going to get started with the music because that's why we're all here, right? We're here to find the good music. So, starting off this playlist for today is going to be Moonstruck Drive by Bosco Green. I had mentioned this song last week. It's a cool song. Bosco Green, we know him from his album Scenes from the Dystopian Present. That's a more folk punk album. This song is more electronic music. It's still got his really amazing voice in it. And I really like it. So I hope you guys enjoy it. So we're going to do Moonstruck Drive by Bosco Green to start, and then follow that up with London Fog by Bad Luck Loverboys in this first block of music.
Driving sense of direction. You're lost in the London fog. You got no sense of direction. Don't know that your head's on wrong. You're lost in places you know, 'cause you're lost in the London fog. You got no sense of direction. Don't know that your head's on wrong. You're lost in places you know, 'cause you're lost in the London fog.
You said for saying sake. Nothing ever lasts and everything is fake. Now all that's left is to kill the time away. Done waiting on
gonna be free? What do you see when you see me? Are these angry thoughts okay? Do you ever question the way you look and act and think and feel? So many folks who don't believe are real. Do you ever get exhausted living other people's lives? Before the walls come crashing down, will we really sell our sisters out to find out? We were never doing better on our own. I quickly wait, forget the past. Stop telling me to just relax. You will find out. There's no music in a world of silence. They don't sing, they use violence for violence. There's no music in a world of silence. How could anybody be so strident?
They're playing in the symphony and we're reeling from the lack of empathy that starts from the first chair to the back, conducted like an orchestrated attack. In spite of all these striking moves, we know it's never that we choose. This hate we pointlessly endure, we'll fight and then ensure before the walls come crashing down. We won't really sell our brothers out to find out. We were never doing better on our own, so they'll make us all unpack to never forget our shared past, so we don't have to find out.
There's no music in a world of silence. They don't sing, they use violence for violence. There's no music in a world of silence. How can anybody be so strident? I'm holding out for, I'm still holding out for, I'm holding out for one more chance. I'm holding out for, I'm still holding out for, I'm gonna break the silence. There's no music in a world of silence. They don't sing, they use violence for violence. There's no music in a world of silence. How can anybody be so strident?
That last song was Violins for Violence by Atlas and Oracle featuring Yours Sincerely. That song is such a bop. I love it. It's a great band. This is from a album that dropped earlier this month. It features Atlas and Oracle, obviously, and then other pretty amazing ska bands as like cameos. So it's definitely worth checking out if you liked what you heard. Before that was New Moon by Witchweather, another great indie punk band. I feel like we don't play them nearly enough, but we should here on the show because I like their vibe. So just a reminder for everybody that the Scabbies interview is in the last half of the show. Probably going to start it around like 10:05, depending on how things shake out. So here in about 15, 20 minutes is when that'll start. We have a couple more songs to get through before we do that, though. 6 to be exact. So let's go ahead and get started with Dan Flashes by Ford the River, a great dad punk band from the PA area. That's what they call themselves, dad punk. It's good stuff though, so even if you're not a dad, you should probably check it out. But here it is, Dan Flashes by Ford the River, and then Above the Water by the Great Heights Band.
I really shouldn't be alone right now, although I'm always the strong one. Yet I know that I'm the one who's torn. I really shouldn't be alone, and I shouldn't be drinking right now, although it makes me feel clever. Feeling like I am thinking right now, I really shouldn't be drinking. I've got an excuse every day, I've got it out from every way to make myself feel like it's okay. Is it okay? I really shouldn't be alone, and I shouldn't be working right now, although I need to make money, and I'm sure there is no future now. I really shouldn't be working, and I shouldn't be singing right now, although it makes me feel special. But really no one is the point right now, no one is ever listening. I've got an excuse every day, I've got it out from every way to make myself feel like it's okay. Is it okay? I really shouldn't be alone. I've got a bad feeling that things won't turn out for me. I've got a bad feeling that things won't turn out for me. I've got an excuse every day, I've got it out for every way to make myself feel like it's okay. I've got an excuse every day, I've got it out for every way to make myself feel like it's okay. Is it okay? I really shouldn't be alone. It's hard to stay up when you feel so low. Like a punch in the gut, you're stuck in a rut, you wanna go home. You can't afford to hang tough, feel like you gotta let go. The words fall out of your brain, the cost to be sane is feeling the strain. I'm feeling restrained. Take a goddamn breath and float away into the rain. The heavy weight of everything. I'm not enough, hold me up just above the water. Take a goddamn breath and float away into the rain. The salt in your sweat, it's making me itch. Try to scratch at the pain, take on all the blame, you dig your own ditch. We like to get fucked up and let it all slow down. Get too pissed off the drink and piss in the sink. I'm blind when I blink, now I'm starting to think. Take a goddamn breath and float away into the rain. The heavy weight of everything. I'm not enough, hold me
Got a lot of friends, and by friends I might mean problems, and I break the law from time to time. When I do, I'm trying to solve them. I got a million reasons, I'm burning bridges, cutting time. Investing all my money, all my time, now everyone's talking I'm fucking. Don't even wanna hear another bullshit. Don't even wanna hear about who said what to you on one day. God damn it, start from a time spread around the planet. Are you making this in your opinion when I told you to be this way? Since you've been gone, since you've been gone, I'm far less, I'm pissed off less, things cost less. Thought I'd be angry, this time I'm so blessed. Tried and I realized this. You can't fix a dead end. Can't fix a dead end. Just turn around again. Fuck it. Don't even wanna hear about the bullshit. Don't even wanna hear about who said what to you on one day. God damn it. Start from a time spread around the planet. Are you making decisions in your planet when I told you be this way? Since you've been gone, since you've been gone, I'm far less, pissed off less, things cost less. Thought I'd be angry, this time I'm so blessed. Tried and I realized this. You can't fix a dead end. Can't fix a dead end. Just turn around again.
I have the temptation of prolonging conversation and thinking things will always work themselves out. I have this long shot, but I'll give it all I've got, cause this room's been dark for way too long. My hands are pressed against the wall, watch me stumble, watch me fall. I've got a feeling that I'm gonna lose it all, but I know that the switch is somewhere down this hall. You're too good to me, and I can't make a move because I wanna know you feel it too. I'm always overthinking, my optimistic cards demolishing me. You got me writing stupid happy songs, and I really don't wanna mess this up. I've got this sunshine pouring down through my lungs, but it will soak up my blood and burn out my tongue. It all seems too damn good to be true. You'll probably want to stay friends, and I guess that's cool. But my hands are pressed against the wall, watch me stumble, watch me fall. I've got a feeling that I'm gonna lose it all, but I hope that the switch is somewhere down this hall. You're too good to me, and I can't make a move because I wanna know you feel it too. I'm always overthinking, my optimistic cards demolishing me. You got me writing stupid happy songs, and I really don't wanna mess this up. I think we can get along, I think we can get along, I think we can get along. Boy, come on, let's get it on. I think we can get along, I think we can get along. Or did I get it wrong? Don't leave me on, I'm not that strong. You're too good to me, and I don't know if it's real, and I can't stop from shaking. Cause I've been close, I don't wanna repeat, because I thought we had something and I spent too long guessing. But it's not his fault, no, it's on me, because I fall too hard and I was falling for nothing. If my screams are too much, just come and clean, because I wanna know your touch, but not if you can stand me. You're too good to me, and I can't make a move because I wanna know you feel it too. I'm always overthinking, my optimistic cards demolishing me. You got me riding through mess this up.
Oh, welcome back. That last song was Cut Me Clean by Voluntary Hazing. They are a 12-piece ska band from San Jose, California. So I guess if you ever want to ensure that you have help moving, start a ska band. One of those 12 people will definitely help, I'm sure. Anyways, this is our last block of music coming up. Oh, forgot to mention, My Old Band Had Issues by Two for Flinching was the song that was before Voluntary Hazing. Great band. I'm sure you saw in the chat about their live set on the Tempo, which is our Saturday show. Also, it bears mentioning that I'm sure you've noticed the flyers. So the pop-up Two for Flinch is going to be at a show on the 16th of August with Save Ferris. Great classic ska band, so I'm sure that's going to be a real hit if you're in the PA area and can get to Love Drafts. That is definitely a show not to miss. So we've got 3 more songs before we start the interview. So without further ado, here is Bernie's is a Target Now by Scott B. The Ska Bees. So we'll be talking to him in a few minutes. Enjoy.
Flashbacks to 1999. I'd give it all up to go back in time. When all I wanted was a bagel and an open slot. Tony Pena, can I have a Saturday? In early May, I'll book the band to split the pay. Snap the bread with the sound that shows up this time. I never thought they'd shut it down. 2015, the last night of a subterranean dream. Campus partner, bulldozers, and some cultural doubt. All the sticky pots are somewhere underneath. The house swears all the budgets watch our cheese. Scoutwood said it best, your campus is trash. I never thought they'd shut it down, but Bernie's is a Target now. Yeah, Bernie's is a Target now. Hip-hop nights and marathon punk rock shows. Watch yourself while going down the back stairs. Can you really miss the smell of piss and cigarettes? When you find your place, do you really care? So when I die, please bury me underneath Bernie's bagels and distillery.
Because you're older, don't mean you're wiser. A sorry excuse, jaded views and a shit attitude are all you got left. Are you happy with
final turn. Regret, your ending is closer. We'll watch you all burn. Fade to black now. Don't wonder what comes next. I'll point to your head with it. Look it right off your chest. We finally reached the end of your tradition. Here comes the end of days. Here comes your end of days. And your rendition. Gone in the past, thoughts spills away. Lost in the sea of antiquity. Built on the brim, gasping for air. Choked on the mist that you declare. Drown with the lies, drown with your friends. No turning back, will never end. Drown with the fraud, the corruption. Take your last breath, we are what's left. That's when you're done.
We're back. It's almost 10, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the interview. Guess we packed this here show too full of music for you. We can't fit it all in. I'm going to have to cut a song. Big sad, I know. So let's get started with the interview. Let's do that right now. With Scott B. Welcome, everybody. This is the interview with Scott B. of the Ska Bees, and he's with us here today to talk about his new album. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and answer the first question I tend to ask people when it's their first time on the show, and that is, what is your origin story of your band or you as an artist?
Yeah, so I'm Scott B of Ska Bees, and we were talking beforehand. The name is a little bit of a, supposed to be a little bit confusing and goofy. So Scott B, Ska Bees, it's a pun. I've gotten some people asking me if it's scabies, and it definitely isn't. And I don't know how you could get that, but multiple people have asked me. So Ska Bees. So the origin story question is great, and I'll try not to give you, a 3-year answer. But I've been thinking about this lately, and I've had a bit of a punk rock Forrest Gump life. So I'll try to keep it short, but I got into punk with Green Day in the 90s, and then was all in on ska in the 90s. My first band, ska band, and as I evolved, as what was popular and cool evolved, I did all kinds of different things. I played in a band that was on Equal Vision Records called Prevent Falls, did some touring with them. I moved to Boston. I went to Berklee College of Music, did a music business program, and I actually focused on trumpet there. While I was there, I interned at Death Wish, the label owned by Converge. And was pretty involved in the hardcore scene there for a while. And I also played in the Pre-Defeater band that had a terrible name. I'll leave it out. But did some touring with them, and then moved back to Ohio, where I'm from. Played in a bunch of hardcore bands. Had a punk band for a while called Other People. But the last, a few years ago, there were a bunch of things that happened. I always liked ska. I never was one of those like ska sucks. I just wasn't really doing it. But a bunch of small things happened that kind of just pushed me back into playing it. Obviously, it's a solo project. I play all the instruments except for drums. So I've always been doing home recordings, writing stuff. I always played horns, and I would always do this stuff, but never, kind of stayed away from the upstrokes. Just I don't know why, because I regret it now. But the few things there was just all these little things, like the universe was just kind of surrounding me with ska centric things for a while. I actually got the Fishbone documentary at the library randomly, and I watched it, and I'd known Fishbone a little bit, but it like blew me away. And I went through this huge Fishbone phase when like people weren't listening to Fishbone. I feel like it's coming back. Started rediscovering some other ska stuff I liked. And then I feel like it's been in the air, and I feel like you can tell with like the current scene, it's in the air. There's a lot more people interested in it. It's losing that stigma. I think In Defense of Ska has helped a lot with that. But the pandemic was like such a reset for me and a lot of people. And I was just like, there wasn't as much of like a culture of music going on, like what's cool and new. Like people kind of weren't putting out music, and it was like, even though everyone was at home. So I just got really back into it. And then I remember in the Ska Against Racism comp came out on Bad Time Records. I bought it, not knowing any of the bands. And I don't even know if I listened to it for a while. I just was like, oh, I want to support this. This is cool.
Yeah.
This is going on. I want to support this. And then slowly I wrote a song. I had a punk band called Other People that was pretty active for a while. We put out an album. You're in Cincinnati, right?
Yes.
We played in Cincinnati a few times. We had few Cincinnati bands we would play with. And when that ended, I started making really weird music, like throwing guitar pedals on and like just trying to get creative and figure out just being weird. And I wrote this song, and it was like deep down, I was working on it, and I realized it was a reggae song.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, screw it, I'm just gonna do a reggae song. And I did that, and then I was like, started writing some other stuff. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do ska. That's like what I want to be doing. I don't know why I haven't been doing it. So just totally embraced it, and pretty excited about what I've been doing. And I feel like it's the most like me thing I've done, because I've done so many random bands and other people's music, my music, and this one just really feels like very comfortable.
Awesome. So you mentioned that this is the quintessential like DIY album. You did all the horns and the recording yourself.
Yep.
It sounds really good. So did you record it like at your house, or did you get studio time, or how'd this?
Yeah. So I had a drummer play. I don't play drums, which is funny. My dad's a drummer, and he always kind of like, I remember like he was teaching me when I was young, and he was kind of like, you're not a drummer. And I never really learned how to play drum set. But so I recorded all of it at my house. I would, making demos. I've got a Mac and, interface. And that's kind of the other thing of being a musician for a long time. You start to develop those recording skills. And so I was doing a demo. I had a drummer out of LA play on it, and he recorded his stuff and sent it to me. And then I recorded stuff at home. I just getting better all the time. And once I decided it was something I wanted to put on, it was, put the effort in to make it sound really good. And I did have help. I had somebody else mix it for me.
Nice.
And yeah.
Yeah, it sounds really amazing, actually. And then let's move on to talk about your first single. Came out on the 14th of July. Bernie's is a Target Now. This is such like a nostalgia hit for me.
Yeah.
It sounds like pure late 90s, early 2000s, like ska, like of the Asian Man variety. And the video itself is just amazing. I don't know if you remember, but Timus the Akakubo Station was a video sample that Asian Man put out around that time. You could put that video in that sampler and it would just sit there and you wouldn't know the difference, in my opinion. It's just pure nostalgia, and I love it. So would you like to talk about that song and the inspiration behind that?
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate that. And I think I remember having a bunch of the video comps around that era. There was like the Cinema Beer Belly ones from Hopeless. And I remember there's an Alkaline Trio video that has like the same texture to it. And I'm sure there's some of that in there, like coming from the same place. So yeah, Bernie's was this divey bar venue on the Ohio State campus that was, my mom had gone there when she went to Ohio State and always talked about it. When I was in high school growing up in Columbus, it was like the place. Like I thought if we got on a show at Bernie's, like we were set, like our band had made it, We played there a bunch, and it was it's like one of the few places like a high school band could get on a real venue, kind of. There was like, I didn't drink then, but I'm sure you could have drank underage there, no problem. You know, the bathroom was disgusting, but like it was so special, and it was special to a lot of other people too. I mean, there's a Bernie's Memories Facebook page where I got most of that content, you know, all the video, all those photos, and I asked permission to use all that stuff, and people were really excited to do it. And when I posted places, you know, people immediately, there's been all these conversations people have remembering the place. I mean, there were so many like legendary shows there, you know, and different genres too. There was a hip hop night forever that was huge in Columbus, but also like the Queers would play there every few months, and there was tons of punk shows. And even for me and like my circle of friends, there was like a handful of just like legendary shows we all remember. But it very famously was torn down and turned into a Target, and I always felt like I had that song title in my head for like years, of like the you know, how much it sucks that is what it is now, that it's like this cookie cutter thing. And obviously I shop at Target sometimes, but it's like that whole era is just gone, and it's all like kind of sanitized and normal now.
That happens far too often, it seems. So it's very unfortunate that kind of stuff seems to happen to some really great places then and whatnot. So we have another song I want to ask you about. I don't want to give you my opinion on it because I want to hear it, the explanation from you, because it's a very interesting song. Let's talk about Friday Night, Wednesday Morning, and just the inspiration behind that, because it is clearly has a political slant to it. So I'd like you to explain it to everybody.
So that song basically, I went, you know, there was really wild ones in Columbus. And I went down.
You cut out for a second. So protests is what we're talking about?
Yeah, the Black Lives Matter protests after George Floyd killing that summer, that pandemic summer, you know. I went down to some of them, the State House, and kind of experienced it firsthand. And, you know, it was very intense, very moving, inspiring. Like a lot of people, I was very affected by everything that was happening and what people were saying and doing. You know, and I just felt compelled to write something about it. And writing political music is something I've tried many times. I think it's very hard. Like the people that can do it, you know, like Neil Young, like it's so easy to write it and have it be corny. Yeah. And also like my perspective is like, you know, who I am, you know, who I might be talking to about it, you know, which would be, you know, people of my demographic. That's probably who my perspective matters to, right? So the song is very much, you know, and it's kind of tongue in cheek, it's kind of jokey, but obviously, people watching this may not have heard the song. So the first verse, there's two verses. The first verse is my take on the Black Lives Matter movement and protest, which is I was very much for it and a part of it, and it's I had a little bit of fun with it. You know, there's some kind of over the top imagery, and it's a very upbeat song. So it's not jokey, but I had fun with it. But then the second verse, I contrasted it with the January 6th insurrection, which I, you know, obviously thought was horrendous. And so I just used that to really talk some shit about those kind of people. Just contrasting, you know, it's a challenging thing. I've been nervous that people would misunderstand it at times, but, you know, the first one, a necessary, important movement in the United States, and the second one, a total joke.
Yeah, that came across to me. So
good.
I was like, clearly the first half is the protests that matter, and then you have like a POV shift to January 6th, and so that's why I wanted you to explain it first, because I didn't want to be wrong. and
I was, you know, I was nervous about how to do that, and you know, neither story is my story really, but I just wanted to express myself on it. and I actually I asked some people's advice on it, and before I was a little nervous about doing that, and I wanted to make sure I did it right. So I'm glad that you feel like you got it. So
yeah, I feel like it's very important when you're dealing with those kind of topics, especially January 6th, that you take extra care to not be misunderstood. And I think it came across the way you wanted to, because your explanation was what I was getting from it. So good job on that one. I like the song. So
yeah, thanks.
Okay, so we have, I want to know, other than the 2 songs we've talked about so far, is there any other songs on this EP? There's 5 total, if I'm not mistaken, that you are particularly proud of or that you want to talk about.
Yeah, so my favorite definitely is the second track, Bullshit Detector. It's, 5 minutes long, and it's kind of a wild journey through different genres, and it's got a full-on Megadeth guitar breakdown in it. This is a band I love, and I just felt like I could throw anything at that song. Most of the stuff is the songs stay in the style throughout, but that one I just had fun with it, kind of like mashing different sections together, and it was fun to record because it's very much like multiple songs put together, and then lyrically it's just trying to express kind of the life we all live online and in real life, of just being fed garbage all the time and trying to sift through it.
Yeah, that it pretty much sums up most online interactions, is like
yeah. So that's my favorite. It's a lot though.
It's a bop. I listen to it a lot. I like it. It's just when you sit on it, you're just like, yeah, it's great. I like that song too. It's a great song. So, your album, the EP itself, is coming out on the 28th of July.
Yeah, a week from tomorrow.
The vinyl collector in me wants to know, is there any physical media coming out with this? Is there a vinyl release or a cassette tape release that's popular again?
Yeah, actually, so we are. My friends run Head to Wall Records in Columbus, and previous bands I've been on have been on Head to Wall. When I told my friend Josh I was doing this project that does that label, he was like, "We got to do this. Let me put it out." We are going to do a short run vinyl on this. It's definitely happening. Working on getting that together.
We'll be anxiously waiting for the release then, cause
it's definitely happening. I should probably announce it.
Yes, awesome. You should.
This is it. This is the official announcement.
The official announcement. You heard it here first, folks, on Live Free DIY Hard official vinyl release for Scott B's solo project. So, great job. Okay. Nice. We're gonna wrap this up. We do relatively short interviews on the show, but
that's great.
This is your chance that I like to give people to shout out projects that they're working on, their friends' projects that they think are great. Just anything you think's worth mentioning. Now's your time to go ahead and get that out there into the ether of the internet and say your piece.
Yeah, so I guess it kind of 2 things, both kind of center around ska world, but this is a solo thing, but there are going to be shows, putting this out there. A bunch of people have reached out. I always thought this might be kind of too hard to put together because I would need a bunch of people, but a lot of people I know from playing in many bands have reached out to me and like, "Are you going to play live?" And have offered to play. Like, it's definitely going to happen. Awesome. I reconnected with an old friend. Hadn't seen him in 20 years. He's a bass player. We had played in ska bands before. He's like, we've been hanging out. He's, we're going to be doing stuff. So I think this project may actually evolve into an actual group.
Awesome.
So I want to do a couple shows of this and then let it evolve. And then as far as shouting it out, I would say, I'm sure a lot of people watching this know about what's going on in the modern ska scene, but I think it's pretty incredible. I'm kind of blown away by it, especially what all the younger people are doing with it. The labels that are out there, the scene is very forward thinking, engaged. It's a pretty impressive thing. So if you're, an older person that's just kind of doing a nostalgia thing with ska, definitely check out the current scene and all the bands and the labels because it's really cool and really inspiring.
It really is. That's like I'm kind of old, I guess, and so I remember everything from the third wave, and then once you start, and then Ska Against Racism, the compilation album that came out, kind of really opened my eyes to what was going on currently in the ska scene.
That's crazy. Both of us with that.
I was a huge Asian Man fan, so when you
Exactly.
say Ska Against Racism, I'm like, I'm on board. So
When it was a split release Stage Man, that's exactly what happened. It was like, oh, it's interesting because Asian Man, and then
so
you dig in, it's like, oh wow, look at all this stuff.
yeah, and there's so many amazing bands on that comp, and Bad Time Records. I don't think they have a band that is not amazing. So definitely check out the new stuff. So
Yeah.
great. Okay, last question before we leave. We like to play the show out with a song that you've picked from your discography. So being that this is your new project, I guess you have 5 songs to pick from. So
Yeah.
which one would you like to play the show out to?
I don't know, David. What do you think?
I don't know. Bernie's is a great one. But that's the glory
That's the
of
first
being,
single. That seems like the obvious thing, but it'd also be fun to do something else too.
Yes. That's the glorious thing about this being my show. I don't have to pick. So
Well, I would say let's go with Bullshit Detector because it's I think it's fun and gives Bernie's is a pretty straightforward song. I think that Bullshit Detector is the one that really shows you the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's an amazing thing. We'll play that out on the show. Thank you very much for being here. As always, you're more than welcome to come back whenever you want to have a chat. But thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. It's amazing. Appreciate it.
That concludes our interview, folks. We're going to play us out to Bullshit Detector. But before we do that, I do want to mention that the 29th of July, we're doing a Zoom interview with Tyrant's Downfall on the Tempo. So if you like Tyrant's Downfall, they're kind of a metal band. We were going to play them, but we ran out of time. Check that out this weekend. You should just check out the Tempo in general. It's a really great show. I'm in the channel hanging out a lot. We do live shows, live sets on that show. Not this week, but I think the next big one is August 26th with Cody Tyler, who is a country artist. So if you want to see a live set, that's, I think, the next big one. But Scobbies is in the chat, so say hi to them. Thanks for the interview. We do really appreciate it. But here is Bullshit Detector from Scobbies, the EP.